Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BELLYUP20 at CanadiveCBD.com. Once again, BELLYUP20 at CanadiveCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canadives for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. This is literally fresh off of the 2-1 loss to Canada for USA. So we'll talk about the US men's national team. Obviously, there was some changes from when we talked about the call-up. Obviously, certain players, Johnny Cardozo wasn't available, so they brought in Jack McGlynn. I think, I don't know who were the other names, but I know, so Anthony Robinson wasn't available, which I believe they brought, no, Marlon Fawcett was already on here, so they brought in Arfston. Arfston, they brought him in. They also brought in Brian Gutierrez, who didn't play. So, good call on that one. Once again, it's ridiculous that we did not call up in the house. I think it's insane. But anyways, so obviously this is not going to be at all positive. This was a terrible call up. If you guys aren't fully aware, in the Nations League, obviously, well, we just recapped it, but the US men's national team Nations League win as a 1-0 loss to Panama and a 2-1 loss to Canada in the third place game. Now, Hector, you're probably wondering, Hector, why do you care about that third place game? Well, it was against Canada, and you would like to be able to beat the team that your rival Mexico can beat, so which Mexico beat them handily, obviously, because we already recapped it. So yeah, embarrassing. Embarrassing is the word that's going to be used this entire recap of the U.S. men's national team. All right, so the Panama game, it's 1-0 loss. The lineup was as follows. It was the 4-2-3-1 formation. We saw Matt Turner at goalkeeper. Musa played at the left back spot with the center back pairing being Chris Richards and Tim Ream, and Joe Scally being on the right side at the right back spot. Good, yeah. I really don't care right now. I'm sorry about that. Sorry for yawning. In the midfield, we had Tyler Adams and Tanner Tessman being the dual sixes in this 4-2-3-1 formation. Pulisic at least was labeled as the 10 for this one. In the midfield, the forwards were McKennie, Josh Sargent, and Tim Weah. On the wings, the subs that were called up in this game was Jack McGlynn, Patrick Aguiman, and McKenzie. Mark McKenzie came in as a center back parent to come in at center back. Honestly, man, that Panama game, I think, one, you need to give credit to Panama. Panama stuck to the game plan. Panama, once again, in a competitive setting, was able to get a victory over the U.S. men's national team, which obviously, if you guys aren't fully aware, Panama was the reason why the U.S. men's national team got grouped in Copa America, and in the last Gold Cup, eliminated the U.S. men's national team to make it to the Gold Cup final that year, which they did end up losing to Mexico. So I think the moral of the story is, while yes, this U.S. men's national team looked very lackadaisical, looked very possession. Who cares about possession at this point? All those things, possession was in favor of you. Yeah, you had more opportunities to put in a goal. Obviously, you had the Josh Sargent offside goal. Josh Sargent, who we all thought was a goal, but actually just hit the sidebar. The post. They just weren't clinical. It's cool to have possession, but if your possessions don't have any substance, then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what you do, because at the end of the day is what you do with the ball, and literally that's what happened. That's literally how it ended. Because Panama, when they did get their opportunity, and they did put it in the back of the net, and that's when you have Waterman being able to celebrate. Let me see. Was the player's name Waterman? I think it was. Yeah, Waterman able to score the winning goal, and then able to run up and celebrate with Thierry Henry, and having that awesome moment for him. Once again, I am not bashing Panama by any means. I think Panama came in with their strategy, and they knew once they got their opportunity, they were going to take it, and they did. That's why they won. It wasn't, on paper. This is probably something that everyone's going to keep saying. On paper, USA should have beat Panama, and you're probably right. But you know what? You can't be saying we should be beating Panama when Panama has beaten you 3 times in competitive settings. That at the end of the day, like if it has happened in a consecutive amount of times, then it's no longer we should be beating Panama. At this point, Panama is an equal. I'm sorry. I mean, as much as you could, some people have a hard time believing that a Central American team can compete with the U.S. men's national team. Because once again, kind of talking about the people that went off on that stupid Instagram reel. At the end of the day, U.S. is not a football nation. It is not at all remotely a football nation. Football is probably the last. Is still near the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to sports in America. In Panama, it is not that case. I think baseball might be a close second, but football, soccer, whatever the hell you want to call it, is the sport in Panama. So once again, there's a passion for it. They have, and obviously in recent years, we have seen the progression in Panama. So, like at this point, when Costa Rica was considered an equal at one point when they were up there in the discussion. When they had their generation with a young Keylor Navas, and they had, I'm not gonna list all the players, but even at one point, it was CONCACAF was very much USA, Costa Rica, and Mexico. Those were the 3 nations. We weren't even talking about Canada. Canada was an afterthought, and that should even be even more alarming. Was Canada, who was very much an afterthought, has now progressed to not be part of the big 3, which more and more, the way this U.S. team plays, maybe we shouldn't even consider them part of the big 3. But Panama, I think with the progression that they've did perform better than Mexico and USA did in the Copa America. So for anybody to believe that Panama was beneath the United States, I think is ridiculous, because they have shown you that they have been better every single competition. They have shown you plenty of times that they have improved as a national team, to the point now that we're not talking about Costa Rica anymore. We're talking about Panama as being the better team in coming from Central America. So I don't, and that was something that me and Edward talked about. We said it. We cannot take Panama lightly. Panama is a good team. This whole we should have beat Panama thing, that notion has gone way past the wayside, because now we have 3 consecutive chances in competitive settings where Panama has been able to get the better out of the U.S. men's national team. So whoever keeps coming up with this nonsense that the U.S. is better than Panama, maybe on paper, because there's more players playing in Europe from the United States than there is from Panama. But Panama has shown you that they are a better team. Cultural-wise, they are a football nation. Maybe not up to the par of England and up to par with France, but they are a football nation nonetheless. And they have been playing with a really good group of players that have consecutively been progressing. Goalkeeper, a prime example of a player that has been getting better and was in the last Gold Cup the player of the tournament, which I'm sure that Europe is probably the next step for him in his career. It is ridiculous for not only for American players, but for American fans to think that Panama is even remotely beneath them, because that is the reason why Panama won, was because everybody underestimated this Panama side, when many people have warned you to not underestimate this Panama team. And I think at the end, and I'm going way ahead of myself because that's something that I'm going to mention about this entire embarrassment of a U.S. men's national team window. The next game, obviously, is the 2-1 loss to Canada. Showed some life, but really at the end, it wasn't. All right, the lineup was also once again the 4-2-3-1 formation. This time you had Matt Turner once again at goalkeeper. The backline was Joe Scally, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Mark McKenzie, and Max Arfson was now the left back for this one. The midfield was McKennie and Adams being the dual sixes, and Pulisic once again being labeled at that 10 position. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I know I saw Diego Luna also labeled as the 10, but I think a lot of rotations happened throughout the game. And the forwards were Timothy Weah, Patrick Aguiman, and Luna. So Luna and Aguiman were essentially and Arfson were the big changes from the last, and obviously, Carter Vickers and McKenzie also being changes to it. The substitutes for this game was Marlon Fossey, Tanner Tesman, Yunus Musa, Gio Reyna, and Brian White. It was basically just Canada trying to catch up with Canada. I think both teams didn't necessarily play well. I don't think it was necessarily a good game in general. But Canada, obviously having more of a chip on their shoulder in some sense. It's becoming a rivalry. USA and Canada, it has become a rivalry. Obviously now with this year in hockey terms, obviously with the Four Nations, All-Star, whatever that was, but I know it was a very big talking point. USA and Canada being a rivalry. A lot of things are coming a lot of tension is becoming with USA and Canada, mainly because of obviously the whole, Donald Trump talking about this being the 51st, whatever. Look, I'm not gonna get into politics there, honestly, but that is a lot of tension has been coming up with that. Obviously Jesse Marsh is being the prima donna that he is. He obviously has a lot against U.S. men's national. The U.S. soccer obviously took the Canada job, and I will say has done a lot of good things with his Canada team. This is a very talented Canada team. This is probably once again, like I mentioned, not only at one point, it was USA, Canada, USA, Mexico, and Costa Rica. That was the teams in CONCACAF. Canada was not in that conversation, and Canada now is in that conversation. So that is props to this generation of Canadian players, but also just some of the good coaches that they have come in. And I mean, as much as you guys feel, however you want to feel about Jesse Marsh, he has helped Canada tremendously. Which I mean, they did have also a very good Copa America. They once, along with Panama, went further than USA and Mexico. So once again. Say what you want, but and I think that should be something that if you're a U.S. men's national team fan and an L3 fan, is the fact that now we're letting Canada catch up to us, and that should very much piss not only USA fans but Mexico fans as well. But I'll tell you the difference between that though. As critical as Mexican fans have been with the Mexican national team, and rightfully so, they know at the end of the day these guys are going to compete in CONCACAF. I mean, am I wrong? Many people would argue that on paper, Canada should have been beating Mexico. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of friends that told me how bad this Mexican call-up was. And they took care of business with Canada 2-0. It was never close. Now, obviously, I don't know right now. I don't know what happened with Mexico and Panama, but Mexico has shown that they are able to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Lately, I don't know if that's the same thing for the U.S. men's national team. To share my thoughts about this in general, it's an embarrassment. This was an embarrassment of call-up. Like no one, I mean no one from that U.S. men's national team camp should be proud of themselves of this call-up. Pochettino and that coaching staff should not be proud. The players are definitely not proud. I think things that I take away. Matt Turner. The goalkeeper spot needs to be now discussed. It should have been discussed a long time ago, but it needs to be discussed even more. The fact that we're confident that Matt Turner is still going to be a starting goalkeeper, despite the fact that he is not playing for his club or doesn't play as much in his club in Crystal Palace. If you're Matt Turner right now, you need to start figuring out a way out. Find a club. Your next club better be a starting position. Whether it is staying overseas or coming back to the MLS, you need to get a starting position. You need to go to a team that needs a goalkeeper, and you need to become their starting goalkeeper and not look back. Who gives a crap what league you're playing in? Go somewhere you're going to play. Because honestly, I wouldn't have not been shocked if Zach Steffen started. I would have not been shocked if Patrick Schulte started. Like this goalkeeper group is very much wide open. I mean, we got people now talking about Julian Ironstone. Julian Ironstone, who by the way plays for the B team of Brentford, and because he's doing really well right now with the U20 U.S. men's national team, who I believe Cochin's also with. But because now they're seeing Ironstone a little bit, people are like, man, maybe we should have called up this kid. I agree, but obviously he plays for the B team. But still, like, we're realizing more and more that this goalkeeper position is very much wide open, and we need to start talking about, and which is crazy because we are literally a little bit over a year away from the World Cup, and we are not confident in the goalkeeper position. Center backs still question marks. Obviously, we didn't see Anthony Robinson, we didn't see Tsuchino Des, so I can't really say too much about fullbacks. Midfield, I think obviously Johnny Cardoso. It sucked not having Johnny Cardoso, but it should, if Johnny Cardoso's not there, it should be Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. I'm gonna be honest with you. The forward position is the front three is not as safe as I thought as everyone thinks it is. Tim Weah while he does have his moments, he also had a lot of rough moments. There was no one was necessarily good, in my opinion. No one is free from criticism at this point. I think Diego Luna, when he played in the second game, he definitely looked like he was trying to put everything out on there, but unfortunately no one else was showing that same kind of energy. And Gio Reyna is just a moron. That's all I gotta say. The yellow card was stupid. Yeah, I'm not happy, man. But I think the thing that's so embarrassing is the fact that no one took this competition seriously. Now, CONCACAF is the one in charge of finding a venue and all that stuff for this tournament, this competition, and you knew exactly what CONCACAF was doing when they chose Los Angeles, California. They chose LA because of the Mexican market, because they knew it was guaranteed to sell out because of the Mexican national team. As a matter of fact, the tickets were actually it was double header tickets. And unfortunately the last game wasn't the US men's national team game. It was the Mexico game. And you had to see those images of a very much empty SoFi Stadium because they weren't there to see the US men's national team. They were there to go see El Tri, respectively so. People that are criticizing that the US failed that part, look, I'll blame the US for a lot of things, but that's a CONCACAF call. If CONCACAF really was trying to make it a fair and not even look, I'm gonna say this also. CONCACAF, pick another country, pick another place to host tournaments. I get it that the U.S. has all the infrastructure and all this, but feature some other countries. Get some other countries some money. Why doesn't Mexico host the Gold Cup? Why don't we have if the fact that you feel that maybe the venues aren't there for El Salvador or for Costa Rica or for Panama, make Central America the host. Make the Caribbean a host. Let's feature these other countries. Cause let's have somebody else have some home field advantage for once. And honestly, if the U.S. had a say in any way of whoever was the hosting site, Columbus should have been directly the location, and it wasn't. But it's frustrating, man. It is frustrating. You at the end of the day, it's just no one takes this tournament seriously. The Nations League, say what you want, no one takes this thing seriously. No one wants to take it seriously. and that's how everyone's gonna shrug it off. Like, oh, wasn't a real tournament. And me and Edward talked about it. Yes, people feel their certain way about the Nations League, but this is an opportunity to win silver. This is an opportunity to showcase what you could do in a competitive setting. And they didn't want to do it. They didn't take this tournament seriously because they're like, oh, we won this 3 times in a row. Take it seriously. Every opportunity to show competitive matches is an opportunity to showcase the fans, not only current fans, but maybe prospecting fans, especially when the World Cup comes around, where there's like, I want a reason to root for this U.S. men's national team, and they want to see a winning product. At the end of the day, that's what everybody wants here in America, is to see a winning product, because if it's not a winning product, they don't want to support it. And you not taking Nations League, they don't know what people think about the Nations League. All they know is that this is a tournament. Mexico was in it and Canada was in it. They knew that. And now they know USA couldn't make it to the final because they lost to Panama. They don't know about Panama. Some people might not even know what Panama is. They know that USA lost to Panama, and now they know they lost to Canada. If you're an outsider, not a fan of soccer in general, but come World Cup time, maybe you want to see what's going on with the U.S. and that's the latest news you heard. You're not going to give this team the light of day. And then for the people that are actually U.S. soccer supporters, they now have an awful taste, because it literally shows you guys don't give a flying, you know what, of anything. If you can't take this thing seriously, it just tells me that you're not going to take Gold Cup seriously. I shouldn't even be expecting guys for Gold Cup. I shouldn't be expecting a very good. I shouldn't expect to see the European players in Gold Cup. I should not expect. I would accept some sort of B team for Gold Cup, and that's gonna piss me off because we're not gonna take CONCACAF seriously, and I hate that more than anything else, is that you're in CONCACAF and you don't want to take a CONCACAF tournament seriously. Say what you want about Mexico. Yes, they put B teams out as well for CONCACAF Gold Cup, but guess what? Those guys play. Mexico understands CONCACAF. Mexico plays well in CONCACAF because they understand CONCACAF. The difference between USA and Mexico is that Mexico can at least punch above their weight. When it is Mexico versus Italy, Mexico versus Mexico's gonna put it out there. Mexico has beaten some of the better teams. Mexico beat Germany, not that back in 2018. Mexico shows you that they can win games. At the same time, still compete in CONCACAF. We need to stop underestimating these CONCACAF nations. We need to stop belittling CONCACAF. Because honestly, this is where it all started, the frustration with U.S. soccer. All the frustration with U.S. soccer started with us belittling CONCACAF, belittling Trinidad and Tobago. Because of that, we didn't qualify for 2018. Stop underestimating CONCACAF. Stop underestimating these competitions. You need to, when it's a competitive match, it's a competitive match. Treat it as a competitive match. Take it seriously. Play to your best ability. Play with your best tactics available, and show, hey, this is what we can do in a competitive setting, regardless of who we're facing. And they didn't do that. Now I have no faith in Gold Cup. I don't. This team has not shown me any reason why I should have faith in them in the Gold Cup. That is a Mauricio Pochettino problem, but that is also a player problem. I think Thierry Henry made a really good fact that we keep looking at Christian Pulisic. That USA is trying to put so much on Christian Pulisic. And I've said this plenty of times on the podcast. Christian Pulisic isn't a captain. He's not a captain. He's your best player. I'm not disagreeing to that notion. Right now, he's your best player. But he's not your captain. Stop expecting him to act like a captain. Hope that he's going to come up big in big moments, because he does do that. But stop Stop this whole captain thing. He's not going to do everything. Not every great player is going to be a good captain. Not every good captain is a great player. And I know, and Thierry Henry said something along those lines. The word I would use for this U.S. men's national team call-up is embarrassing.
Who is that guy?